you never know if a tape might not work or something, right?
Yeah.
So okay, we'll just. Well, Dad, I want to start at the beginning. We got to get this down right. Where were you born?
I was born in the village of Exton, 6 miles from Exeter, England.
Is that Exton?
Exton.
6 miles from Exeter?
Yes.
And what part of England is that?
Devonshire, England.
What is Devonshire? Is
That's
that
a county.
And what? And is that north, south, south?
Southwest. Almost extreme southwest.
How far is that from London about?
About 175 miles.
And what were you? Were you the oldest?
I was the second born.
Well, who was first now?
Edith.
And
She was born in 1898 and I was born in 1900.
okay, then who after you?
Then there was Brother Harry in 1902,
Yeah.
Brother Willie in 1907, and Sister Olive in 1910.
Okay, now Edith, she died at. Well, we can go in. Wait a minute. She died when? How old was she?
She was 32 when she died.
And Harry was how old?
70 when he died.
And Willie was how old?
15,
And that was from double pneumonia.
yes.
And Edith died of what? Cancer of what?
Cancer of the hip.
And Olive is still living, and you're still living. Were you all born in Exton?
No. Two were born in Exeter.
Wait, Exeter, you're saying you were born.
Yeah, I was 6 miles out of Exeter.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Well, wait a minute now. You and Edith were born in Exeter, outside of Exeter?
no, Edith and Harry were born in Exeter.
Oh, and you were born outside of Exeter?
Yes.
Wait a minute.
My grandmother's place.
Wait. Okay. Edith and Harry were born at Exeter at your grandmother's place?
No, I was born at my grandmother's place in Exton.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Okay. And where were Willie and Olive born then?
They were born in the village of Longdown.
Is that one word?
Yes. 4 miles from Exeter. West of Exeter. On the road to Dartmoor. People know Dartmoor because, well, there's a great prison.
Well, okay, now. Why were you born at your grandmother's house? I mean, are these places where both your parents lived? Every place where you guys were born?
And, well, where I was born, that was my grandparents' place.
Yeah, I know, but
And we didn't live there, no.
well, why were you born there?
I don't know. My mother wanted to be with her mother, I suppose.
Well, you didn't go into hospitals in those
No,
days.
nobody went to hospital.
So you had, what do you call it?
A home birth.
Yeah, but I mean, did somebody help?
A midwife.
Midwife?
Yes.
For all of you?
The last one, I think there was a doctor came.
For Olive.
Yes.
But I mean, so you weren't living at your mother wasn't living with your grandparents. She
No.
just went there to have
Yes.
a baby. Well, so your home, you were living. So how many homes did you have when you were growing up? I mean,
Well, there was.
first you were 6 miles out of Exeter.
That
then-
was my grandparents' place.
Oh, okay. You were in Exeter, and then you were 4 miles out of Exeter.
Yes, at Long Down.
Yeah, and then
The name of our house there was Midwinter.
at Longdown.
Yes.
Why was it called Midwinter?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, do the English call their houses different things?
Well, out in the country, they got names for them. Individual homes.
Why is that? Do you know?
I don't know.
Because you said your sister's house was White House or something?
Yeah, that was in Cornwall, yes.
But I mean, do everybody name their houses?
Usually, a lot of people, if they have individual homes, they name them.
Okay, so then after Longdown, what next?
I went to a school called Holcombe Burnell there. I first went to a school in Exeter until I was 7 years old.
Wait, you went to a school in Exeter until you were 7?
Yes.
That's usually when people start school.
Yeah, I've been going to school 4 years then. It was the beginning of 1908.
When did you start school?
About 3 years old, I think, before I was 4.
Well, what kind of school did they have?
Kindergarten. There were 3 grades of kindergarten.
You're listening to this, Mom?
In a way, but I'm
Dad started school when he was 3 years old.
I heard that. No wonder he's so smart. I'm catching up on my diary.
Okay. Well, is that still? Is that the way the school system is today?
I don't know. I doubt it.
Well, okay. So you went Exeter until 7. Then you went where?
To a school called Holcombe Burnell.
How do you spell that?
Holcombe. Holcombe, that's one word. Burnell, Burnell.
And where was this then?
That was near Longdown, 4 miles west of Exeter.
And how long did you go there?
Until I was 11 years old.
And then where?
And then my father, that was a one-room school, 30 pupils, and a woman teacher, and my father thought I should have a man teacher. So I went to a school called Dunsford.
Now, what about the other kids?
They continued at Holcombe Burnell.
And so you went where?
Dunsford.
And how far away was that?
That was 3 miles from my home.
Well, that was I suppose, was that closer or it wasn't closer?
No, it was a little over a mile to the Holcombe Burnell School and 3 miles to Dunsford School, so it was more than twice as far.
Did you have to walk?
Yes.
What did you think of that?
I thought that was all right.
Ah! Yeah, having a biography when you're 81, things tend to...
I had a bicycle, but I didn't ride it too often. Sometimes I did.
Okay, so anyway, so you started there when you were about 12 then, at Dunsford.
Dunsford 11.
11, okay.
And went there until I quit school in 1913, in December 1913.
Well, then you were only 13 years old.
That's right.
And was this public school, all these schools you were going
Yes.
to? Well, how were you, why did you quit at 13?
I wanted to quit. My parents didn't force me to want to. I got a job near my grandparents, so I went to live with my grandparents at Exton and got a job at 8 shillings a week.
Which is about?
$2 at that time.
What did you do?
I looked after a pony and did the gardening and shined the ladies' shoes and...
Shined it? Were they rich?
What?
Were they rich?
Well, there was a widow and 3 daughters. They had enough to live on. Yeah.
You did the, what? You took care of a pony and what else?
And the garden,
Oh.
clean knives. Had to clean knives every day.
What do you mean clean knives?
Table knives. You had what they call an emery board, a long board like that with emery paper on top, and you just did like that on each side, and they'd shine like silver.
Yeah, but they also must have sharpened them up too.
Yeah, sharpen them up too.
So how long did you do that?
For until June the 3rd, 1915.
Well, how do you remember June 3rd, 1915?
That's the day I joined the army, and that was the official date of the king's birthday.
Was that just coincidence?
That's coincidence.
Was there a king at that time?
Yes.
Who was that?
George V.
And what is he to who's ruling today? Her father?
That's Queen Elizabeth today.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but was that her father?
No, that was her uncle.
George
George V died, and then his brother George VI came to the throne.
Oh, George V, and then George VI.
Yes.
And who was George VI? Her dad? Elizabeth's dad?
Yeah,
Must have been. Or is it?
no, that was her grandfather.
George VI? But you said it was the uncle of
No.
George V.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Hmm?
Then was
What? George V was who?
he was
Elizabeth's what?
let's see, Elizabeth's uncle,
And George VI was what?
his father,
Her father. And that's how she came to the throne.
Yeah.
Then it
Well,
was the mother.
Before she came to the throne, there was Edward VIII,
And who
the
was
Duke
that?
of Windsor.
And who was that to her?
He was her uncle.
Why, did the father die?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't his children be the next in line?
Well,
They were too young?
Edward disbarred himself after he'd been a king nearly a year because he married a commoner.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, but that was her uncle?
Yes.
But, I mean, why did he succeed her father? Why did a brother succeed her father? Didn't his...
Well, I got a little mixed up
I thought the children would come next. That isn't the way
there. No,
it works.
Edward was the son of George V. Edward VIII was the son of George V.
Oh, so that would have been her cousin then.
That's right, yeah.
And then she was after that? Or the Queen Mother? Or what?
It was her father next, George V. George V, Edward VIII, George VI,
Oh.
and then Elizabeth.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so why did you go in the army?
Oh, because, I was very patriotic and some of my friends were going there. And in order to get in the army, I advanced my age 4 years.
Well, did your friends do the same thing?
Well,
Or were they older?
they were older than me, but they advanced their age a year or two.
And why? How many years old did you have to be? You had to be 19?
19. Had to be 19.
Well, didn't they ask for a birth certificate or anything?
No. The doctor asked me twice if I was really 19, and I said yes each time when I was examined.
And you were 15.
Yes.
So did you and your friends go in together then in the service?
Yes. We didn't stay there too long. We were split up somehow over the first year. None of us were together. After that 1 year,
Well, did you have how long your training?
I was. Of course, there's basic training of 3 months, and I was in the cyclist corps at that time. The 7th Devon Cyclists. I spent 12 months in the 7th Devon Cyclists.
7 months?
12 months.
12 months. 7th Devon?
7th Devon. Devonshire would be, but they call it 7th Devon.
And what did you do?
We,
Was that your training, did you say?
3 months of training and, close order drill and rifle practice and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And riding bicycles in formation. Then after that we went patrolling the coast in southern and eastern England.
Why? Patrolling the coast. Why?
Well, because of invasion.
So
the
there was
possibility of invasion.
you're always there was always patrolling on the coast.
That's right. Every night for a year. For 9 months. We were out every night.
And this was World War I, right?
World War
Were
I.
you already into war at that point?
Oh yeah, 1914.
And who were you fighting then? Who was England fighting?
On the other side was Germany, Austria-Hungary at that time was an empire, and Turkey.
Germany, Austria, and Hungary?
Austria-Hungary. It was one empire. Austria-Hungary and Turkey.
So, then what, after doing that, the patrolling, then what happened?
I was transferred to the infantry on Salisbury Plain, the 2nd 8th Worcestershire Regiment, 61st Division. And we went overseas almost immediately and into the trenches.
Where did you go overseas?
Where?
Yeah.
We landed at Le Havre, I think. And we went
Le
back.
Havre, which is France?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we were on trains, went to the front, Western Front.
Which was where, Germany?
No, in France.
Oh. And who were your allies, or was it just England at that point?
France, Belgium, and that were our allies, and Russia, but they were collapsing at that time.
Who was Russia?
Russia.
So, what do you mean so after 7 months, or 12 months of patrolling, then you went right to the front?
Yes.
What happened then?
We had to spend, we had took turns in the front line. Usually it was 4 days in the front line and 4 days back, 4 days on the second or third line. If it was very quiet, there were 6 days in the front line and 6 days back usually. Once we were 8 days in the front line, depending whether they could relieve us or not.
And what were you doing? Shooting?
Yes, shooting and patrolling no man's land and watch out for the enemy and so on.
Well, at that point, did you get into any hand-to-hand combat or anything?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm. And I can remember the date. Well, that wasn't very much. I mean, generally, June the 14th, 1916 was when I had my closest encounter.
What happened?
I, with about 8 or 10 others, were in a mine crater in no man's land. And a mine crater is where they tunnel under and blown up the opposite trenches. You know. They tunnel under the ground.
What, to put the mines in, you mean?
Yeah. The Germans had tunneled under our line. They dug down in there and then gone down about 10 or 20 feet under the ground, and they put in explosives there and blown up the trenches.
Oh.
See, and that was a big crater, about 20 or 30 feet deep, and water was in it.
Yeah.
And our line was further back when that didn't happen when I was there. It happened before. But we were in control of this crater in no man's land, and that particular night, I and these other 8 or 10 guys were holding it. And at 8:30 in the morning, I was on one of the 3 lookouts. I was furthest forward in this big hole, and I had a periscope on top of my bayonet, and I brought that because it was foggy to wipe it off. And I put it up again, and there was a German officer throwing a hand grenade at me. It was just leaving his hand, like that. I could see it now, 3 or 4 feet in front of his hand.
Yeah? So what'd you do?
I ducked down and ripped a breechcloth off my rifle. It was very muddy there. We had protective with it. And this bomb went over me and just hit the edge of the water and rolled down into the water and exploded in the water. And then they sort of big mounds of earth there, and we couldn't see. I just saw that one. All the rest there were several Germans there raiding us. And they were hiding, I suppose, behind these mounds of earth and throwing more hand grenades in. But I was far forward, and they all were going over me and falling in the water. And then I saw some of our boys running out to the side where there was more cover in the communication trench. So I thought I'd better get out there too. So I ran out to this communication trench. And then they were throwing more bombs and we further back where we couldn't see anything. But our fellows that were wounded or died in the attack, they had their own bayonets stuck through them when we got back there.
The ones that had stayed in that place?
Yeah, ones that had been wounded, I suppose, to begin with.
Oh. So how many were there of you, and then how many died?
I don't know how many died, maybe 4 or 5 or 6, something like that.
And how many were there when you first started?
8 or 10.
Oh. So, I mean, is that when you got your hearing? That wasn't when you lost your hearing, was it? When you lost part of your hearing?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't realize it at that time. I thought so after the war when I realized I was hard of hearing in one ear. And I thought it must have happened there because there were big bangs so near me so often. Not at that particular episode.
Yeah.
The noise wasn't too big. There were no big guns firing at you.
Well, did you have any other close calls?
Yes. I had my putty and a piece of shrapnel went through my putty and didn't hit my flesh. Went through there someplace.
Went through your putty? What's that?
You wrap your legs in these, what they call a putty.
Oh. Yeah. And it went through that.
Yeah.
Did you have to kill anybody? Or did you know that you killed
I
anybody?
didn't know, no.
But I mean, you shot at, did you throw hand grenades and stuff?
Yeah, I threw hand grenades, and mostly, not very much, but rifle shots. I must have one round whenever things were hot, you might say. We knew people were in no man's land, enemy and so on. I must have shot off 100 runs of ammunition that night. We couldn't see what you were shooting at. It nearly all took place in darkness.
What happened during the day?
You were just, you weren't doing anything except occasional shell go over and you were on the lookout all the time.
And most of the action was at night?
Yeah. Or just before dawn, just as it was getting light.
Well, how long were you on the front lines doing this?
6 months.
Then what happened?
Then my parents had got in touch with the War Office and told them my correct age. So they sent me back from the line.
Well, didn't your parents approve of this, or what?
What's that?
Didn't your parents approve of you doing this?
They didn't approve of my being at the front line, no.
But they knew you were in the service.
Oh yes, oh yeah.
But they didn't say nothing, they didn't try to stop you then?
No, they didn't know I was in the army before they knew it.
And they heard
And I wasn't living at home then. I had this job and living with my grandparents.
Well, so then what happened after you were taken off the front line?
They
Well,
said,
were you a sergeant? You said you were a sergeant. When was that?
oh, that was,
Later?
yeah, later. I was made a Lance Corporal in 1917, a Corporal in 1918, and a Sergeant in 1919.
Wait, a corporal in 19 what?
18?
Oh, it was 1970. Okay, in 1919 a sergeant. Well, so they took you off the front lines.
Yes.
Then where did they take you?
I was stationed in England for about 2 years.
Doing what?
Doing ordinary drilling and rifle shooting and training and helping others and guarding bridges and guard duty, a lot of it. During that time, when I was 16, they sent me to a brigade school for a teacher's school for riflery, and I got very good marks there. So they sent me to national school at a place called Hyde, England, and I got a first-class teaching certificate there. I was in 1917 for teaching musketry.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went back and was teaching as long as I was in England until the beginning of 1919. That was my main job, was teaching musketry to recruits.
Oh.
They were all older than I was, but I was the youngest one, and I taught them.
Well, did you ever have to go back and fight?
No, we went back to Germany in the beginning of 1919, and I was there for a year.
Doing what? Was
Yeah.
the war over with then?
No, the peace wasn't signed until till the summer of 1919. The armistice was 1918.
Well, so what did you do in Germany?
I most of the time I was stationed at a village on the main line, where the Allied occupation stopped. And my job was to search trains and inspect identity cards and confiscate contraband and things like that.
And how long did you do that then?
About 7 or 8 months.
Then what happened?
And that came to an end in 1920, and then I went home to England and was discharged.
So you were in the service
5 years,
5
almost.
years. What was mandatory then when you signed up?
Duration of the war.
Oh, you didn't have any...
No,
Well, there was no draft or anything in England?
Not when I joined, no.
Was there later?
Yes.
Well, I remember you telling about one time when you drank a little bit too much champagne. What happened that
I
day?
was in Germany. Oh,
Was this when you were older or younger?
older. That's when I was 19.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah, I was in Germany, and we had some free champagne. I had contraband.
Yeah?
And I hit a tree with my fist and got a bad finger for months.
What'd you do, break it?
No, I don't think it was broke. I don't think I was in very good shape physically. But it didn't heal.
Why weren't you in good shape?
I didn't know the value of exercise at that time.
You weren't getting much exercise, you don't think?
No. All I do was to eat and go through trains and freight bills and examine freight trains and passenger trains and things like that. And most of the time was sitting down. We had this station master's room there on that particular station.
When you were in England for, well, you must have been in England for 2 years.
In November 1916 we went back to England. I didn't go back to Germany until the beginning of 1919, so I was over 2 years in England.
Yeah. Did you see any of your family during that time?
Oh yeah, every 6 months they give you a leave, 4 days leave.
Every 6 months? That wasn't too much.
No. On one of those leaves, that's when I saw my eldest sister the last time in 1917.
Oh, yeah.
I was traveling through London, and she came to see me on the train.
And you only saw her for 15 minutes or something?
Yeah, something like that.
And she was going to New Zealand?
Well, she didn't know then. She wasn't in the Army Corps at that time, but soon after that she joined the Women's Army Corps.
And then she went to New Zealand?
No, then she went to France.
Oh.
And was attached to the American Army for a year or two.
And she was what? And what was she doing? A nurse?
Entertainer.
Oh, entertainer.
Yeah.
She sang or what?
What?
What did she do? Sing?
Sing and acted in plays.
And this was for the American troops?
Yes. She might have done secretarial work too, I don't know.
And then what happened did she marry somebody or what?
No, she never married.
Well, what happened to her after the Army Corps?
She came back to England, and soon after that she went to New Zealand.
For what did she do there?
She nurse, children's nurse.
Oh. And that's where she died then?
Yeah. She was engaged to be married.
In New Zealand?
Yeah.
When
And her boyfriend died soon after she did. He was the same age.
Which was 32?
32.
And how did he die?
I don't know. Died suddenly.
It wasn't suicide, was it?
No. Well, not as far as I know. I never heard. But his parents buried them side by side, what they're saying.
Well, did you enjoy your experiences in the war or not?
Generally, yes.
At the time, you probably did.
Yeah. I didn't like that trench warfare.
Nobody else did either, did they?
Dear, yeah. Aside from the enemy, the worst things were uncontrolled flies, lice, and rats. They were terrible. They were just as bad as the fighting.
And that was in the trenches?
In the trenches, yes.
You had to get deloused and stuff?
Yep.
After you got back from the front, I suppose.
Yes.
Because you couldn't do much while you were there.
No. Couldn't take our shoes off. Our feet might be wet for days. Yeah, we were in misery some of the time if it happened to be rainy weather. Everywhere you went was mud. Of course, they had what they called duck boards to walk on. The service corps would make duck boards. They were about 8 feet long on 2x4s and boards across like that. And on top of that was chicken wire so that you wouldn't slip off.
Well, could you sleep on the front lines?
Yeah. Yeah, during the daytime, couldn't sleep at night. As if it was, quiet enough.
And there was rats going up and down the trenches?
Oh yeah, lots of rats. Rats everywhere. One night when I was sleeping, one rat gnawed through my haversack, a canvas bag on the side where it's strapped to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I had these hard biscuits, dog biscuits. It gnawed a hole through there and ate this dog biscuit I had in there. At night when I was sleeping.
Was there any people ran away?
I didn't know of any. There were some, but I didn't know of any.
Sounds like it was pretty torture. Like it was torture.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to go back to your family. What did your dad do?
Carpenter.
And how old was he when you were born?
He was 34.
Well, he was pretty old then. I mean, you were one of the oldest.
Yeah.
So when the youngest was born, he was in his 30s. Well, his late 30s probably.
Yeah, when the youngest was born, he was 44.
Yeah. And how old was your mother?
42.
When
She was
you
2
were-
years younger.
When you were born, she was 32?
Yes.
Well, that was late for having kids too then. Her
Right.
last kid, she was 42 years old?
Yeah.
That's pretty old for having
Considered.
smaller children. What? And your mother stayed home, watched the kids, or did she work too?
No, she didn't. She worked before she got married in the post office
And they were married what? In their,
in 1897.
oh, not too long before you were born.
No. She was engaged before that too once, but a soldier in the army, but he died.
Well, how long have they been going together then? You don't know.
I don't know.
What kind of person was your mother, do you think?
Oh, she was a fine person. One of the greatest. Of course, I'm prejudiced.
Why do you say that?
Oh, she was compassionate. She had patience. And we didn't all treat her with great respect some of the time. But she always come back and loved us.
Mm-hmm. What about your dad?
He was that way too, but he was a disciplinarian.
He was tough?
Yes. Yeah, what he said we meant, and we all knew that, so he never got very rough with us. We knew what he said went.
Well, you mean he never beat you up or anything?
No. Well, he gave me a few licks with a stick at times.
Well, what kind of a child were you?
Oh, normal child.
Oh, normal.
I know my mother made me, pained me once. You know, we were, got milk every day. We had to fetch milk every day something. And I was supposed to fetch it this particular morning. I think it was Saturday. And she said, she called me twice to get out of bed and I didn't do it. And she said, I know last time she says, I'm coming up there. If you don't get down here right away, you'll be too late to get the milk. See, you had to be there at a certain time or we wouldn't get any milk. Well, I didn't get up right away. And she come up, kind of sneaky up, and she had a stick with me, and it was summertime. There was just one sheet over me, and she hit me with a stick. Oh, it stung! And I rolled out that as quick as I could on the side of the bed, and she hit before I got over the side. It went across my arm here, and there was a mark there for a week. Well, I moved fast then.
I mean, you didn't play any pranks on people or anything when you were a kid, or?
Oh yes, yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
That's normal, right?
Mm.
Well, how did you get along with your brothers and sisters?
Normally.
Wow, come on, how's that? Did you
What?
have fights or anything?
Oh yes, yeah, but I was, of course, the biggest one, and if anything happened to anyone, I used to be the blame for it because I was bigger than me. I couldn't lick them. I know once my sister angered me. This is when I was at school, at this open barrel school, and there was a bit of a stick about this big, kind of a rotten piece of stick, and I threw it at her and I hit her in the ankle, and it made her limp. As a woman teacher, a big woman teacher, when we came in from this play period, she wanted to know what happened. Of course, I didn't deny it. My sister, she laid it on thick, you know, telling me what. And she says, all right, come up to the front here. She says, hold out your hand. And she had this cane, you know. She says, 4 strokes. So I held out my hand, you know, and every time she came down, I pulled it so she did.
She didn't hit it at all?
Oh, and then she held my hand with one hand with the other.
That's the way they discipline kids in school, is hitting them in the hands?
Yeah, that's one way, and then the rear and the butt.
Were you pretty good in school or not?
Fair.
Fair, huh?
Yeah.
You didn't care for school too much?
Not too much, no.
Not when you were young, anyway.
No.
Yeah. Well, why did you leave home so soon? I mean, why?
I wanted to leave school, and I had this offer of a job from my grandparents, and I thought, well, I'll take it when I'm young and make some money.
But in those days, I mean, people didn't go all the way through school.
No, most people didn't know. They usually they left school when they're 14 at that time. The general.
And compared to our high school, then you could go when you were up to 17 or 18 then?
Yeah.
But not too many people did that.
No.
Did your other brothers and sisters go through?
No.
They all quit?
Edith went for a year or two to another school, a private school she went to. But she went on the train. Went on the train each morning and came back in the evening. For a couple of years. Beaufort School in Exeter.
How many kids were in your classroom and stuff?
At Oakland Brainerd there was 30. One room school, one teacher.
But different grades?
Yes.
Yeah. And the other one?
In Dunsford there were all grades from kindergarten to 8th grade. And there were 3 teachers there. There was about 100 students.
Well, now, is that the way at that time England was made up of all these small schools? There was
Yeah.
bigger schools, wasn't there?
Yeah,
In
mostly
England,
small
or
schools.
in London, I suppose. But mostly those small schools?
Yeah, that was out in the country, of course. In Exeter, where I was, there was a teacher for each grade there, Newtown School in Exeter, and there were 3 kindergarten classes, and 8. So there'd be 11 teachers in that school.
The homes where you lived, I mean, were you guys poor? Or?
Yeah, on the poor side. Oh, but the same as everybody else, you might say.
Yeah. Your houses, how many rooms did they have?
Where I, long down where we lived, there were 3 bedrooms there, and the big living room, kitchen, and the back room where Mum did her washing and Father did his carpentry work and that kind of thing.
Did he always do his work at home?
No.
Oh, he worked in a shop or something?
Well, no, he did carpentry work on an estate, so from richer people.
Oh, he'd go to their place.
Yeah, he'd go to their place, and they had a number of farms, and he'd make gates and hang them, and do carpentry work in the big house where they lived. They had 4 or 5 servants.
Oh, it was just one family that he worked for.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
And they had about 1,000 or 2,000 acres, and he used to.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah, and he'd inspect their gates and all that kind of thing.
How did they live? They were
Well,
what?
they rented farms. There were 2 or 3 or 4 farms that they rented out to others.
I mean, that's how they existed? I mean,
Yeah,
did
and then they had other property somewhere, rental property in some city in the north.
Oh. But I mean, they didn't have any farm themselves.
No, they didn't do any farming themselves, no.
Oh.
And they had a sawmill. My father was in charge of the sawmill. Then they had what they call a ram, which used to pump the wash and other water up to this house. He was in charge of that too. He had to see that this ram filled their tanks with water all the time for washing purposes and sewers and that kind of thing.
Well, what time did how old was your brother when he left home, Harry? Well, he was young.
14, I think.
What?
I think he was 14.
And he went into what?
At 16, he went in the Navy.
And he was in there how many years?
27 years.
He got married and stuff during that time.
No, he didn't get married until he got home.
Oh, but so he was on ship all the time and stuff?
Yeah, nearly all the time. He might have been out for a little while, but nearly all those 27 years he spent on the sea.
He must have liked the sea. Or why would he do this? Spend so much time?
Well, see, they have to sign up after a boy, and after they get to be 2 or 3 years as a boy, then they decide whether they want to stay in. They have to sign up for 10 or 12 years. And then...
They do?
Yes. Then if they want to sign up longer and get a pension, they have to sign up for another 10 years. So 20 years, or 22 years might have been.
Oh gosh. You weren't around there then when your younger brother died, evidently. You
No.
were in the service then?
No. The younger
Army?
brother died in 1923, and I was in Canada then.
Oh. Oh yeah, and he was 15, you said?
He was 15 years.
Yeah. And Olive, when did she leave home then?
Well, she didn't leave home until she was 17 or 18, I don't think. She was still at home when I went back there in 1927 to go to college for 2 years.
Was around your home, was there, what's it like there? I mean, is there a lot of trees or?
Yeah, a lot
what?
of tree. Where I was living at Long Down
Yeah,
Home.
yeah.
Yes, the trees. You couldn't see any other home from where we lived.
But how close were the other homes? Fairly close?
Oh, a quarter mile away. That's
Oh, you really were out in the country.
Yes. But the Long Down Railway Station, we were the nearest house to Long Down Railway Station. And that was a quarter mile, a third of a mile away. And we were the nearest